The house smelled of lemon polish and betrayal. I stood in the living room, gripping the broom like it was my last tether to sanity. At 17, I thought cleaning the house would be a peace offering, a way to bridge the chasm between me and my stepmom, Linda. She'd been Dad's wife for 3 years, but it felt like she'd been waging war on me for a lifetime. Her rules were ironclad, her voice sharp as a whip, and her eyes always seemed to find fault in me, Ellie, the gangly teenager who couldn't do anything right. It started with the dishes. I'd scrub them until my hands were raw, stack them neatly in the cabinets, hoping for a nod of approval. Then the floors mopped to a shine. I even dusted the shelves, careful not to disturb Linda's porcelain cat collection, each one glaring at me with glassy eyes. I thought I was doing something good, something to make her see me as more than a burden. But when Linda came home, her heels clicking like a countdown, she didn't see a clean house. She saw an invasion. "What did you do?" she hissed, her voice slicing through the air. Her perfectly manicured nails clutched a stack of papers, and her eyes burned with something I couldn't name, Rich. Maybe. Or something colder. "You touched my things. You ruined everything." I blinked, the broom still in my hands. I just cleaned. I thought you'd be happy." "Happy?" Her laugh was sharp, like broken glass. "You think you can waltz in here, rearrange my home, and call it cleaning? You broke my system. Ellie, you've disrespected me, and you'll pay for it." I looked to Dad, who stood in the doorway, his shoulders slumped. At 60, he was a man worn down by life, his construction business, his failed first marriage, and now this constant tug-of-war between his daughter and his wife. His gray eyes met mine, heavy with exhaustion. "Linda, she's just a kid," he said quietly. "She's a menace." Linda snapped. "And I'm done. I'm suing her for emotional distress and property damage." The words hit like a punch. Suing me? For cleaning? I wanted to laugh, to cry, to scream that this was insane. But the look on her face told me she was serious. Dad's jaw tightened, and for the first time in years, I saw a spark of something fierce in him. He didn't say anything, but I could feel the storm brewing. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying Linda's words. Emotional distress. Property damage. I'd only wanted to help, to make the house feel like a home again. Mom had been gone for 10 years, and Dad had tried to fill the void with Linda, but all she brought was tension. I thought about the years of tiptoeing around her, the way she'd criticize my clothes, my grades, even the way I breathed too loudly. Cleaning the house was my olive branch, and she'd snapped it in half. The next morning, Dad called me to the kitchen. Linda was there, her arms crossed, her lips a thin line. "Ellie," Dad said, his voice steady but low, "Linda's serious about this lawsuit. She's already talked to a lawyer." I felt the air leave my lungs. "Dad, I didn't do anything. I just cleaned." "I know." His eyes softened, but there was a hardness beneath them. "But Linda's convinced you've crossed a line. She's claiming you broke some of her collectibles and caused her stress." "Stress?" I choked out. "She's the one stressing me out." Linda's eyes narrowed. "You're ungrateful. Ellie, I've given you a home, and this is how you repay me." Dad held up a hand, silencing her. "Enough. Linda, you're not suing my daughter." His voice was like steel now, a tone I hadn't heard since I was a kid, when he'd stand up to anyone who messed with his family. "But this can't go on. You two are tearing this house apart." I waited, heart pounding, for what came next. Dad's gaze shifted to Linda, and there was something unyielding in it. You need to learn what it means to be part of a family. Linda, I've arranged for you to spend some time at a place that'll teach you discipline and perspective. A military boot camp. 2 months. You leave tomorrow. Linda's face went white. You can't be serious. Tom. I am, he said, and there was no room for argument. You want to play hardball with my kid? Then you'll learn what hard really means. I stood frozen, caught between shock and a strange, fleeting hope. Dad was choosing me. For the first time in years. He was standing up for me. But as Linda stormed out, her heels echoing like gunshots, I wondered what this would cost us all. Linda's departure was like a bomb going off in slow motion. The house was quieter without her, but the silence was heavy, like the air before a storm. I kept expecting her to barge back in, legal papers in hand, ready to make good on her threats. But Dad had been clear. She was gone for 2 months, shipped off to a military-style boot camp in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or terrified. Dad didn't talk much about it. He spent his days at the construction site, coming home with dust on his boots and a tired smile that didn't reach his eyes. I wanted to ask him why he'd done it, he'd chosen such an extreme solution, but every time I opened my mouth, the word stuck. Instead, I kept cleaning. The house became my canvas, a way to keep my hands busy and my mind from spiraling. I scrubbed the grout in the bathroom, organized the pantry, even polished Dad's old toolbox. It was like I was trying to erase Linda's presence, one swipe at a time. But her shadow lingered. I found her notes tucked in drawers, lists of rules, schedules, reminders to fix Ellie's attitude. Each one was a jab, a reminder that she'd never seen me as anything but a problem. I burned them in the backyard, watching the flames curl around her perfect handwriting, and felt a small, guilty spark of satisfaction. A week after Linda left, I got a call from my best friend. Mia. Ellie, you're trending on X, she said, her voice a mix of excitement and worry. Someone posted about your stepmom suing you. It's blowing up. My stomach dropped. I opened the app and saw it, a thread detailing the whole fiasco, complete with exaggerated claims about me, vandalizing Linda's precious collectibles. The poster was anonymous, but I knew it was her. Even from a boot camp, Linda was fighting dirty. The comments were brutal. Some called me a spoiled brat. Others said Linda was unhinged. A few even speculated about Dad, painting him as a pushover who'd let his wife run wild. I showed Dad the posts that night. He read them in silence, his jaw tight. She's trying to control the narrative, he said finally. But she's not here. Ellie, you are. Focus on that. Easier said than done. School became a minefield. Kids whispered in the halls, their phones buzzing with screenshots of the X thread. My English teacher, Ms. Carter, pulled me aside one day, her eyes kind but probing. Ellie, is everything okay at home? She asked. I wanted to tell her the truth, that my home felt like a war zone, that I was scared of what Linda would do when she got back, but I just nodded and said, it's fine. At home, I started finding things out of place. A broken mug in the sink, a scratch on the coffee table. Small, petty things that screamed sabotage. I didn't tell Dada was already carrying too much, but I knew Linda had left traps, ways to make me look like the bad guy even from miles away. I started documenting everything, taking pictures, keeping a log. If she was going to play this game, I'd be ready. One night, Dad came home early, his face drawn. I got a call from the boot camp, he said, sitting heavily at the kitchen table. Linda's struggling. Says the drills are too hard, the discipline too strict. She wants to come home. My heart raced. You're not letting her. Are you? He looked at me, and for a moment, I saw the weight of his decision. Not yet, he said. She needs to finish what she started. But Ellie, this isn't about punishment. It's about her learning to see things differently. To see you differently. I wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at me. What if Linda came back worse? What if she twisted this into more ammunition against me? I went to bed that night with a knot in my chest, dreaming of courtrooms and broken dishes, of Linda's voice echoing, "You'll pay for this." The next morning, I found an envelope slipped under the front door. Inside was a letter from Linda's lawyer, addressed to me. It wasn't an official lawsuit not yet, but a warning, detailing damages I'd allegedly caused. The words blurred as I read them, my hand shaking. She wasn't giving up. Even from a boot camp, she was still coming for me. The letter from Linda's lawyer sat on my desk like a ticking bomb. Every time I passed it, my pulse spiked, as if it might explode into a full-blown lawsuit at any moment. I hadn't told Dad Youth was already stretched thin, juggling work and calls from the boot camp about Linda's progress. But keeping it secret felt like carrying a boulder on my shoulders. I was 17, not a lawyer. How was I supposed to fight this? I threw myself into school, hoping to drown out the noise. Mia was my lifeline, sneaking me snacks during lunch and cracking jokes about Linda doing push-ups in the mud. Picture her in camo, yelling at a drill sergeant. Mia said, grinning. I laughed, but it was hollow. The ex-posts hadn't stopped, and now there were memes me face poorly photoshopped onto a broom. Linda as a cartoon villain. I wanted to disappear. At home, I kept cleaning, but it wasn't about peace anymore. It was defiance. If Linda thought she could break me with her lawyer's threats, I'd show her I wasn't afraid. I reorganized the garage, sorted Dad's old records, even fixed a wobbly chair. Each task was a small rebellion, a way to reclaim the house she'd tried to make her own. But every creak of the floorboards made me jump, expecting her to storm back in. One afternoon, I found a box in the attic labeled Mom. My real mom, not Linda. Inside were photos, letters, and a scarf that still smelled faintly of her lavender perfume. I sat there for hours, tracing her handwriting, her smile and faded pictures. She'd been gone since I was 7, but the ache felt fresh. I wondered what she'd think of this mess her daughter sued for cleaning, her husband sending his new wife to a boot camp. I wished I could ask her how to be strong. Dad noticed the change in me. "You're quiet lately," he said one evening, setting down his coffee mug. "What's going on, Ellie?" I almost showed him the letter. Almost. But instead, I said, "Just school stuff. It's fine." He didn't push, but his eyes lingered, like he knew I was hiding something. I hated lying to him, but I didn't want to add to his burden. He was already fighting for me in his own way. The next day, I went to the library after school, researching emotional distress and property damage. The legal jargon made my head spin, but I learned enough to know Linda's case was shaky. She'd need proof, real evidence, not just her word against mine. I thought about the photos I'd taken, the log of strange incidents. Maybe I could fight back. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "You think you've won." It read, "I'm coming for you, Ellie." My blood ran cold. It had to be Linda, somehow sneaking a message past the boot camp's rules. I didn't reply, but I saved the text, adding it to my evidence. If she wanted a war, I'd be ready. The following week, Dad got another call from the boot camp. Linda was improving. They said she'd started cooperating, even helping other participants. "She's learning," the instructor told Dad over speakerphone. "But she's got a long way to go." I didn't trust it. People like Linda didn't change, they adapted. Found new ways to manipulate. I kept my guard up, waiting for her next move. At school, Ms. Carter pulled me aside again. I saw the posts online. She said softly, "You don't have to go through this alone, Ellie." For the first time, I broke. I told her everything: the cleaning, the lawsuit, the boot camp. She listened, her face calm, but her eyes fierce. "You're stronger than you know," she said. "But you need to tell your dad about that letter." She was right. That night, I slid the letter across the kitchen table to Dad. His face darkened as he read it, his hands tightening around the paper. "She's gone too far," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "This ends now." Dad's reaction to the letter changed everything. He didn't just get angry, he got focused. The next morning, he called a lawyer, a friend from his construction days named Mr. Harris. "We're not letting this slide, Ellie," Dad said, his voice steady. "Linda's not suing my daughter over a clean house." For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. Mr. Harris came over that evening, a wiry man with a no-nonsense attitude. He read the letter, then looked at my photos and log. "This is harassment," he said bluntly. "She's got no case, but she's trying to scare you. We'll send a cease and desist letter and demand she retract her claims." I nodded, relief mixing with dread. What if Linda doubled down? Meanwhile, the ex-posts kept coming. Someone, probably Linda's sister, who'd always hated me, started a new thread, accusing me of driving Linda to a breakdown. I wanted to scream at the unfairness of it, but Mia had a better idea. "Let's fight back," she said. "Post your side." I hesitated, but she helped me draft a thread. Keeping it vague but honest, "I cleaned my house to help my family. Now I'm being threatened with a lawsuit. I'm just a kid trying to do the right thing." The response was overwhelming. Strangers sent support, shared their own stories of family drama. It felt like I wasn't alone. At home, Dad started opening up. One night, as we ate pizza, he told me about his early days with Linda. "I thought she'd bring stability," he said, his voice heavy. "After your mom, I was lost. But I didn't see how much she was hurting you. Ellie, I'm sorry." His apology hit me hard. I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear it. The boot camp sent weekly updates now. Linda was showing leadership, they said, but I didn't buy it. I kept picturing her plotting, waiting for her chance to strike. Then, one day, a package arrived. Inside was a letter from Linda, not typed by a lawyer, but handwritten. "Ellie," it read, "I've been wrong about a lot of things. This place is breaking me down, but maybe that's what I needed. I'm not ready to come home, but I want to talk when I am." I didn't know what to feel. Was this real? Or another trick? I showed Dad the letter. He read it twice, his face unreadable. "She's got 1 month left," he said. "We'll see if she means it." I nodded, but I wasn't ready to forgive. Not yet. School got better as the ex-posts died down. Ms. Carter started a mentorship program, and I joined, finding solace in writing essays about resilience. It was like therapy, putting my pain into words. I wrote about Mom, about Dad's quiet strength, about the house that felt like a battleground. Ms. Carter read one and hugged me. "You're going to be okay, Ellie," she said. I wanted to believe her. Mr. Harris sent the cease and desist letter, and Linda's lawyer backed off. No more threats, no more texts. But I knew it wasn't over. Linda would come back, and I had to be ready. I started preparing, not just for her, but for me. I signed up for a self-defense class, Not because I thought she'd hurt me physically, but because I wanted to feel strong. I kept cleaning, too. But now it was for me and Dad, not her. As the boot camp's end date loomed, I felt the tension building again. Dad and I talked more, rebuilding the bond we'd lost in Linda's shadow. But I couldn't shake the feeling that her return would test us all. I looked at her letter again, tracing her words, searching for truth. Maybe she was changing. Maybe not. Either way, I wasn't the same Ellie she'd left behind. Linda's return was scheduled for a Saturday. I woke up that morning with a knot in my stomach, the kind that made every sound the creak of the stairs. The hum of the fridge feel like a warning. Dad was calm, too calm, sipping his coffee like it was any other day. "We'll handle this together, Ellie," he said. I nodded, but my hands shook as I folded the laundry, trying to keep busy. She arrived at noon, her car pulling into the driveway with a crunch of gravel. I watched from the window as she stepped out, her hair shorter, her posture straighter. She didn't look like the Linda who'd left. Her sharp edges seemed softened, but I wasn't ready to trust it. Dad greeted her at the door, his voice neutral. "Welcome back," he said, and I wondered if he felt the same unease I did. Inside, Linda set her bag down and looked around. The house was spotless, a testament to my weeks of work. Her eyes lingered on the shelves, the floors, the absence of her old chaos. "You've been busy," she said, her voice quiet. I didn't respond, just gripped the edge of the couch. We sat in the living room, an awkward triangle. Dad and Linda. She started talking, her words careful, like she was navigating a minefield. "The boot camp, it was hard," she said. "I didn't think I'd make it, but it made me see things differently. Ellie, I owe you an apology." I froze. An apology? From Linda? I searched her face for a lie, but her eyes were steady, almost vulnerable. "I was wrong to come after you," she continued. "The lawsuit, the post-it was me lashing out. I felt like I was losing control, and I took it out on you." Dad watched her, his expression unreadable. I wanted to believe her, but the memory of her threats, her cold laughter, held me back. "Why should I trust you?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. "You shouldn't," she said simply. "Not yet. I have to earn it." She pulled out a notebook, its pages worn. "They made us journal there. I wrote about you, about how I pushed you away. I want to make this right. Ellie, if you'll let me." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream, to throw her letter back in her face. But another part, the part that remembered Mom's kindness, Dad's strength, wanted to give her a chance. Dad spoke before I could. "This family's been through enough. Linda, if you mean this, you'll show it. No more games." She nodded, and for the first time, I saw something like humility in her. We didn't hug or cry or have some movie moment reconciliation. It was too raw, too fragile. But we agreed to try small steps, like eating dinner together, talking without accusations. The next week was strange. Linda didn't hover or criticize. She helped with dishes, asked about my day, even laughed at one of Mia's jokes when she came over. I kept waiting for the catch, but it didn't come. At school, the ex-posts had faded, replaced by new drama. MS. Carter noticed the change in me. "You're carrying yourself differently," she said. "Lighter." Maybe I was, but I wasn't naive. I kept my log, my photos, just in case. Linda's apology was a start, but trust was a long road. One night, she asked if we could clean the house together. "Like a team," she said. I hesitated. then agreed. We worked in silence at first, but then she started humming. A soft tune I didn't recognize. It felt normal. Dad watched us, a faint smile on his face. Later, he pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you, Ellie," he said. "You're stronger than I ever was." I hugged him, tears stinging my eyes. For the first time in years, the house felt like it might be a home again. Months passed, and the house settled into a rhythm I hadn't thought possible. Linda didn't magically become my best friend, but she wasn't my enemy either. We found a balance, cautious, but real. She stopped trying to control everything, and I stopped bracing for a fight. We cooked together sometimes, her showing me her mom's old recipes, me teaching her how to make mom's favorite brownies. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Dad seemed lighter, too. He started whistling again, a habit from my childhood I'd forgotten. He and Linda talked more, not just about bills or schedules, but about life dreams, regrets, the future. I overheard them one night, laughing about something from the boot camp, and it hit me, they were trying, too. Not just for me, but for each other. At school, I threw myself into the mentorship program. Writing became my outlet, a way to process the chaos of the past. I wrote a story about a girl who cleaned a house to find her place in it. An MS. Carter submitted it to a contest. It won second place, and when I saw my name in print, I felt like I'd reclaimed something Linda had tried to take. The ex-posts were gone, buried under the internet's endless churn. Linda deleted her accounts, saying she didn't need them anymore. I didn't fully trust her change, but I saw it in small things, the way she listened when I talked, the way she apologized when she snapped. She was human, flawed, but trying. One day, I found a photo of Mom in the living room, placed on a shelf I hadn't touched. Linda caught me looking. "I found it in the attic," she said. "I thought it belonged here." I nodded, my throat tight. It wasn't forgiveness. Not entirely, but it was close. The lawsuit never materialized. Mr. Harris made sure of that, and Linda never mentioned it again. The boot camp had stripped away her need to control, or maybe it had shown her what really mattered. Either way, she was different, not perfect, but different. On my 18th birthday, Dad threw a party. Linda helped decorate, hanging streamers with Mia while I laughed at their terrible coordination. Dad gave me a locket with a picture of Mom inside, and Linda gave me a journal, her handwriting on the first page, "For your stories, Ellie. Keep writing." I hugged her, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. The house wasn't a battleground anymore. It was a place where we were all learning to forgive, to heal, to be a family. I didn't know if it would last, but for now, it was enough. I looked at Dad, at Linda, at the home we'd fought for, and felt something I hadn't in years: hope.